The Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com, an editing service that helps take the burden of editing off your back. Check out VidChops.com to see how you can save yourself tons of time and energy while taking your YouTube channel to the next level. Today, I am speaking with YouTuber Chris Gibson. He's been doing this for quite a while now. He has hit 152,000 subscribers. He's got over 10 million channel views, and I'm just here to talk to him today about business, how he's grown his channel, and all of that fun behind the scenes stuff that a lot of people don't really talk about on YouTube. So, Chris, how you doing today? I'm doing wonderful. So why don't you fill people in on exactly what you do and what your channel's all about?
Oh, great. How are you? It is skincare and wellness, anti-aging more so than just beauty. I mean, it falls in that category because that's the way they do that. But it's a how-to channel. And I review skincare products and talk about skincare solutions from a holistic and an esthetician viewpoint. And I cover everything from acne to anti-aging, just you name a skin disease, I pretty much talk about it. Not a dermatologist, so I don't give out dermatological advice, but I do give out general skincare advice. And so I've done really, really well with it.
Mm-hmm. So why did you decide to get into this category of YouTube? I know this is kind of like its own niche. So what sparked this? What was your inspiration?
I've done really, yeah, it's like one of the hardest ones, supposedly or apparently, and very competitive. But my reason for using YouTube was because in the past with skincare, I'd written a book called Acne Free in 3 Days 15 years ago. Did really, really well. I did a lot of television. So television meant travel, and it was somewhat restrictive on what you could talk about, So I wanted to give a shot to YouTube. I had set it up 10 years ago to put TV clips on. So if you go back far enough in my channel, there are television clips of me way back then. But I thought it would be a great platform for me to provide information like I had done in the past without having to do live television so much and radio and all of that. Of course, now I'm still doing some of those and podcasts, obviously, on skincare, but it really just sort of was like the hub choice because I was able to associate a blog with that. I have a mighty network that's associated with that, and the monetization is relatively easy process once you get to where you need to be with YouTube rather than a difficult one. And then I have a lot more trust towards that than some of the revenue streams I created back in the past, say 10 or 15 years ago. It just made really logical sense. And I just got inspired one day. I said, I'm going to do a video on sunscreen because it was a controversial thing almost 4 years ago, when they started talking about how the chemicals in sunscreens were hurting the environment. Not just people, but marine life. So I did a video on that. So if a video does all right, I can still pull an audience of some kind, then I will give it a go. So I put it out to my old list and got some views that way. And then YouTube picked it up and it eventually did all right, actually, for someone who's just doing YouTube right off. I think that the video got like 10,000 views in the first month, which now I get that all the time. But back then, when you have no audience and you're starting basically from scratch, that was a good sign. So I threw a lot of stuff at the wall, like a lot of people do. I did cooking, I did wellness, I did all the topics on the channel. Certainly skincare, I had a lot of background, and all of it was wellness related. So all of it was interrelated or relatable. But when I started focusing on anti-aging, because I'm a guy in that space, which is really odd. The over 50 crowd is mostly women, and they talk about, fashion and makeup and skincare devices. And here I am talking about anti-aging. So I have a lot of guys. I have my acne followers, people that have been following me for years, plus the new ones on the channel that find those videos. And now I have this larger audience, 50 plus, really it's about 45 plus folks that are trying to improve their skin without going under the knife. So I'm sort of an odd character in that group because it's not a lot of guys. I don't think there is any other guy that talks about what I talk about. So I was able to find a unique spot in that particular environment. And I think that's really helped me a whole lot.
Yeah, like I think the fact that you have found this niche for you is pretty awesome. And I'm pretty interested in your journey from TV to YouTube. Like obviously a big advantage of YouTube is you control all of the monetization, like you have the power. So I was wondering, this is kind of the golden question, like how have you monetized your channel? I know you have books. I know you have like sponsorships. Can you talk about how you have
really
used your channel?
I was able to bring some of the old material along, although this has given me a platform to write new material, which is what I'm in the process of working on now. But the monetization process was to, obviously AdSense pays, but it takes a while for you to get enough volume to depend on that. And it's fickle. It's a very fickle payer because the ad revenues can go up and down, time of years can slow down. A lot of things can impact your income. So I right away wanted to, for the products that I recommended or reviewed, be able to offer a link for people to go investigate them. It's not that I don't really push them in my videos. If you watch it, I will just review a video and I'll review a product to see whether I like it or not. But there will always be either an Amazon link or a link directly to the website through Narrative. It's now Howl, but Narrative, which is, in the past, if you couldn't find something on Amazon, to provide an Amazon link, so you could get commissioned that way. You really didn't have, unless you had a deal with the, whatever the brand was, really just sent people there, which was fine. But Narrative/Howl gave me an ability to use that link, and it takes them directly to that website, and I get paid from the brand through that vehicle. So I have both. And that's grown quite a lot. I've done so well with Amazon now that I'm in one of their top tier beauty influencer program. So I get a better commission than average influencers do, just simply because I have so much reach. And you have goals that you have to hit every month. But it's pretty easy. I mean, because I'm not selling anything, I've sort of just let that grow with what I'm doing. So from the monetization standpoint of the channel itself, there's AdSense, then Amazon, and then Howl. And then, of course, I do have brands that reach out, and we do work out deals. I'm not a big proponent of big sponsorshipped videos on my channel because I feel like it takes away from the integrity or the honesty level that people feel I have. So I've had the channel. I've had the channel 10 years, but it's been active 4. Let's just put it that way. I think I've done it's less than 10 sponsored videos where I was paid to do that video. Usually I'll work out a deal with, look, I want to review this honestly. If you'll give me a link where you want to pay a percentage or give them a percentage off, that's usually a better deal in my particular environment. Although, I know people get huge brand deals. If I had something really ridiculous, I might look at it. But I mean, there are companies that do kind of tend to partner with me because of that long term. Like when they have something new come out, I get first crack at it. So that's kind of nice. So it's sort of a different way of approaching the sponsorship. So that's really the 3, I would say. It's AdSense and then links and then deals with brands where it's an affiliate link or some sort of discount link or something like that.
So your Amazon sponsorship, you said you make commissions on that. Do you also get a flat rate, or is it purely commissions?
Well, the way the influencer programs are set up is you go in there. If you're when I started, it was I guess a tier 1 level. You get a percentage, and it changes. It's set across the board for beauty products by Amazon. So it's a percentage, and it changes. It's not a lot. I mean, it's 2%, 3%. But if you do enough volume, that's some significant income. Then they have higher tiers that you can be invited to. It's by invitation only, where they will help you focus your influencer page towards things on Amazon where people will really save a lot of money, and that comes across very nicely for your subscribers because here's what they're doing. So I'm not doing a video, but here is what they're doing this month, where you can save some money on XYZ. So you're able to do revenue there. And then, of course, they bonus people as they do. I think it's different probably for every influencer niche that they have. I don't know how it really works across all. I just know that I got invited into it, and then they set goals and parameters for the year, and you always get something, even if you don't hit them, which is really nice. You get your commission, but if you do really well with them, they pay quite well. So, and then again, as I said, I have on the other side of that, I have narrative / it's Howl now, HOWL, where they work directly with beauty brands, skincare brands, and you just use their links. They collect the money for you on the sales. And so there's a lot of benefit to those because there was a whole chunk of products that I would be, reviewing that is not on Amazon, perhaps, or is an Amazon in a different country or not allowed in a different country because my channel is very international. So I have a lot of international reach. So.
Mm-hmm. And you said that
it really works across all.
Yeah, you did. That was a fantastic answer. Very detailed. So you said that Amazon helped you focus on products to sell. Obviously, it's very important that you get the right products to sell. Like, how did they help you with that?
Well, so, and then again, it's not like they'll send in, they will let us know what's trending, what's very popular. That's not saying that I take that information and go and create videos that way. I don't let that decide. My videos are decided through different criteria, mainly what subscribers are looking for. There are YouTubers that I can tell that I compete with that do use that information to select their video criteria, which nothing wrong with that. I just don't do it that way. But they're giving you some inside information on what's doing well, what's popular, what's getting a lot of good feedback, where brands are going to have particularly deep discounts, which is really helpful because you're able to help your subscribers save a lot of money. I've done so many videos, 552, I think, as the one that went out today. So there aren't a lot of products I haven't already covered, unless they have a new product that they're adding. So it's nice for me able to go to my blog, which is usually where I do this, and let them know, hey, this product that we talked about back here, that I still like it, you could get a deeper discount if you use this link on Amazon. So it helps you have some flexibility, and you're not just depending on your AdSense revenue, which I never tell anybody that they should not build an offline audience from their YouTube channel. Absolutely you should, because anything can happen anytime. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to reach. So it's really nice for me from the Amazon standpoint that I have something to be able to go back to my community with, that's beneficial to them.
Mm-hmm. And so mentioning your community, I actually wanted to bring this up next. So this is a perfect transition. skinsofabulous.chrisgibsonlive.com. So this is where your community lives, correct?
I think.
So can you tell us a bit about that? Like you kind of have your own website here. I know a lot of people, they'll kind of build their community in Discord or other places. Why did you choose to have your own website? What goes on there exactly? And how did you cultivate it?
This and let them know, hey, this is that's a mighty network. And at the time I was putting everything together to do the channel, I already knew I needed to rebuild the list. I already knew I needed to have a community. I knew that from having had a business before online with my books and all of that before, and doing television, you still had that engine. So I sort of built this engine before I started doing YouTube, because I didn't really know with YouTube. I knew enough that you can have a video take off or it can take you time. It can go either way. So I wanted to be sure in the event that I had some videos take off, which I did 3 years ago, that I had things in place, where they could go. So right off the bat, I set all of that up. And then the idea behind using Mighty Networks over Facebook was there were already some issues going on with Facebook groups. Mighty Networks was new. I liked the way it gave people the ability to communicate with me directly through direct messaging and each other. without me having to moderate it. It had the ability to divide people into interests, so that if someone is having an acne issue, for instance, they're one of their interest selections is that, and they can ask other people. So it's not all on me to help someone because I only have so much time. It gave me a place to catalog and organize my videos by topic, uh, which is, you do that with playlists on YouTube, but because of the chronological way that they're distributed or displayed, people sort of miss things out. So on YouTube, I have my uploads, then I have start here if you're new, and that's a series of Skincare 101. And then I'm doing a new one that'll be the third one, which is Skincare Decoded, and then there'll be all that other stuff, popular videos, all the things that they normally have. On the blog, it's simply by interest. So it's mature skin, aging, it's diet and skincare, it's product use, it's, I have a small, very small skincare line that I'm in partnership with somebody else with. That's just, it's not very many items, sort of a slow go thing. I'm trying to develop things very slowly. So that's always been there. So I'm not going to have to come and throw a big skincare line in front of people on YouTube and then be shocked, which we know that happened to a few big YouTubers. It doesn't always go over so well, when they're like, okay, where did that come from? So that's always been a piece of it. So I've been very transparent from the very small start and beginnings all the way up to now. So I don't push my own skincare. I really talk more about ingredients. So it's an option. More as, here's my skincare line I developed for all of you all because everybody else's is crap. I didn't take that approach with it. So I tried to think of all the different ways that, and this comes from having been through this in the past with past businesses and online business, not YouTube, of diversifying those income streams, because stuff gets stuck, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
They're rolling out. They're rolling out a separation on AdSense between, content, YouTube content, and regular ads on websites, and maybe what you run on Google Ads. And so there's been some delays and payment. So you got to be prepared for anything when it comes to things that are beyond your control. And those things are always going to be beyond your control. But having your own community, not so much. You have those voices, and those are your most engaged people. I have 150. It's 155. Where am I? 154, 55. Somewhere I'm 155,000. Somewhere in there now, as of today, and I only have a little less than 10,000 people in the blog, but they're very engaged. 10,000 people, 10,000 very engaged people is is a very powerful list. It can make a big difference in how your videos do when you put them out. It makes a big difference in anytime you launch anything, or again, if you're able to provide value to them, where they can save money and things like that, and help and have that sense of community, and also be able to contact me directly, which gets harder and harder to do on YouTube as you get larger. There's just no possible way for you to see every single comment, and they don't even always display. So
Right.
I mean, that's something I had to learn as my channel got over a certain size. You have your main, it tells you what your new comments are, and I'm bringing this up for a really important reason. And you look at those and you go through and you answer the ones that are answerable. And then at another point, you go back and look at video's individual comments, and there are always more comments than what you saw in that main unanswered comment section. So it's a shocking amount. So I wanted to be sure that I had the ability to have people be able to get to me outside of YouTube comment section, which is, because I don't do live streaming. I haven't done that yet. I have some peers that do it. It doesn't really, I haven't seen it really do anything lightning strong for their channel. It's just something they do. They like doing it. It gives them that one-on-one interaction. I have that ability to do that in my blog. So I'm not saying I would never do that, but it's, I just started adding shorts on a regular basis like 2 months ago. So, I am very careful of what takes up my time, because quality in my videos or research. I provide I provide study links. I try to be very creative with the editing and the presentation of the videos based on my TV background.
Sure, yeah.
But not so much so that out from a quality level, but not so much so from losing your authenticity on YouTube, which is hard. A lot of TV personalities don't translate when they get on YouTube. I had difficulty with it too. I'd been on all these TV shows, lifestyle shows. There was always somebody leading the segment for you. And you had all these rules about what you could talk about, what you couldn't talk about. You had to get everything out in 4 or 5 minutes and you were done. So it's a skill set that you learn, but you have to unlearn it for YouTube. And it takes time. It really took me 2 years to finally shake that really off, where I just myself.
Yeah, the freedom of YouTube is kind of it can be its own cage in a way, where you have limitless options and maybe it's hard to really know what to say. Television, I mean, whole different world, whole different ball game. There's way more parameters that you have to sort of operate under. I did want to kind of stress the importance of having a community. So, like, as far as building a successful channel, obviously it's good to have a tight-knit community where people can feel like they can interact with you, they can interact with each other, like-minded people. This is something that a lot of people, when they're starting their channel, they kind of gloss over. And this was actually a mistake I made. So the first channel I started, Treesicle, got lots of views. I mean, it now is sitting at over 200 million channel views, but our community, we didn't really work to develop it too much. We had a Discord server, we still have it, and it was thriving for a while, but we never quite figured out how to manage it sustainably. And what I mean by that is, like, how do you manage a community while making sure that, if trolls get there, that you're able to take care of them? How do you not be available all the time? How do you offer enough of yourself, but not too much to where you're kind of going crazy? So I was wondering if you could speak to that, like your
all these TV shows,
advice on how to manage a community while not losing your mind.
the segment. Laugh, because I'm going to tell. I see a lot of YouTubers kind of substitute that with Instagram. And there's nothing wrong with that. My Instagram is growing because once one of these platforms starts to grow, the rest of them do. But now I'm doing TikToks. So still needed that. And to answer the question, with that community, one that's highly engaged people, trolls don't usually make it over there because I kill them off on YouTube real fast. It's my channel. I at first I had a little pushback about not allowing every single negative comment. Now, if it's a comment questioning something, those all stay. I don't take that stuff out. But if it's a troll, and we all know what those are, they're gone for good. No questions asked. You're banned from my channel. You're not going to ever be able to comment again. I don't have time for that. Plus, I don't want bullying to happen in the subscriber, and I miss it somewhere. So I have my filter set up to catch all sorts of stuff. So the community growing, I will eventually probably have to add a moderator or two. It needs to be someone you can trust. But the way that Mighty Network is set up, because people can reach out to me directly with a question, so they come in and the initial question that they get asked from the system is, what is your biggest skincare concern? So right off the bat, we focus them in to what this is about. And then most of them answer that question and they join. And then they set up their parameters, as I said, about what their interests are so that they're connected to other people that are interested in the same things. And I have, so far, knock on wood, that was started before the channel was turned on the way it is now. I've not had to remove anybody from there.
Wow,
that's
impressive.
I think part of it is you set up the environment and the expectations. I've done a few videos where I've talked about trolling. I don't get weepy. I have a really thick skin after having done television and having a very controversial book and been on the news with it. That stuff just whatever. Mm-hmm. So
great.
You have to. Well, and I'm older. I'm 58. So after 40, you don't care. Well, I have come close to telling a few people to go get their own channel. where they get on there and give me a dissertation on what I should do. But I don't get that much anymore. I really don't. I've addressed it in a few videos, very lightly saying that, this is my channel. It's my information based on my level of expertise. And that's what I talk about. Part of this may be because I don't include a ton of personal stuff in my videos. Just enough. I haven't really done a lot of vloggy type of things. Here and there will be a video where I include B-roll like that. But because I don't because I've kept it, and I'm saying this won't change, but because as I've grown the channel, I've really tried to keep it very focused on professional points of conversation and solutions. Don't really, I don't have too much of that. I think sometimes when you put a lot of your personal stuff in there, not that you shouldn't do it, because like other big YouTube, Dr. Dre is doing it now with more vlog. I think at a certain point you have to start to include that to continue to grow, and I certainly want to continue to grow. But it's that core audience that really controls it. So if someone comes in and acts crazy, a lot of times in the comments, people get to them before I do. He's already answered that, or they sort of do that work for you.
Yeah, so you've kind of cultivated a community that moderates itself.
Yeah, they do a good job. I'm not saying I won't ever have a crazy person. I've had a few, but I would say my experience, it's 99% positive. And I've watched the YouTubers talk about their subscribers. I know that Wayne Goss talks about the way I talk about mine. It's a really warm and fuzzy, although it's a ton of personal information in his. But then I know others like Hiram, who's really large, grew really, really super fast, took in a ton of people in like a year, like 4 million subscribers. You get a lot of different variety of folks in there. And so in reading through some of his comments, I'm like, wow, no one ever says stuff like that on my channel. So it's just, I think it really is what you just said. It's the culture you cultivate, whether it's by design or it happens to you. Because for some of these YouTubers that grew super fast, they didn't really have a chance to set parameters. You just got in front of everybody. And I've noticed that when I have growth spurts on the channel, that's when I tend to have more of the idiots. When YouTube is really pushing out my content for whatever reason, a video's hit a nerve, that's when I see more of that. But as I said, as I see it, they are gone. Not people making a joke. People make some wisecracks about it. I have a video that says, if you do these things, you can look 28, you can look up to 20 years younger in 28 years. Well, somebody will say, well, I'm 20 now, I'm going to be -1 or whatever. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where people bully people or call people liars or, that element. I've managed so far to keep most of that out of there. And when one does wiggle their way in and have enough or not have enough common sense not to comment that way, they get to them before I do. When I go, they go, okay, well, what she said or what he said, So it's all good. Again, I have a real thick skin about it. It's just my concern is more for the environment for them.
Sure. And
because I don't care if people would say, yeah. I want them to feel comfortable to ask questions. I don't always think the YouTube comment section is the most appropriate place to do that. So that's why we have the blog. My email address is prominently in the channel information, and all of my contact information is in every video description, so people actually can email me. So I would much rather have that. While I can do it that way, I may have to hire someone to help me. But it was one of the things that I felt was missing when I was following people on YouTube. I got why. There's a certain amount of celebrity of that as you get larger, just like I had when I was on television, and it can get a little weird. So I get why, but I think if you're trying to really help people, that's really your goal. It's really not about the money. It's really about trying to provide really good information and help folks, and you're passionate about it. That's the kind of environment you really kind of want anyway, is maybe a little less subscribers, but a little more, warmth and engagement.
Absolutely. Like when you go for pure numbers, as you mentioned, you end up attracting people you maybe don't want to attract because you've kind of like put a steroid shot into your channel. And
Chance
the thing about steroids is their side effects. So
in front of
definitely
everybody. And
something
I've
to
known
keep in mind. Also, I wanted to ask, is it free to join your community?
for
Is there a
the
small fee?
idiots.
Okay.
If I thought about that, there are a couple. I also created courses, which are questionnaires people can fill out themselves. They can self-educate, find out what their skincare or their skin type is. I started to charge them, then I kept it all free. I would rather just do it that way and have me be a resource, because what happens is the money comes in just as well through these other vehicles, as far as people coming back and watching videos. My engagement rates on my channel, if you have software that compares channels to channels, I look at the engagement rates of the larger channels where I want to be, and they're really low. I mean, they have 4 million people with their engagement rates like in the percent, 2%. My engagement rates to 25%, sometimes 30.
That's fantastic.
155,000 people. So that's high. So it's fine. It's everybody has their own reasons for doing all of this. Certainly, I'm not in my 20s, and I don't want to be that kind of influencer. I don't need all that stuff. But I want to kind of be a voice of reason, and skincare is really crazy. People put all sorts of crazy stuff out there, and it's like, okay, and I think that in the space I'm in, people, it's a two-edged sword. People come to my channel for solutions. And in the beginning, that was a bit of a problem, because I had a lot of people come in, fix something, because what I talk about works, and not come back. It's like, okay, that's not going to work on YouTube, because you need people to come back. So I had to begin to mix in reviews and other things. So I'm trying to still find my own balance in all of that. I tried, I'm just be honest, I tried the reaction videos that people were, there was a period there 3 years, 2.5 years ago, where that was very popular. Almost everybody was doing them. And I just felt uncomfortable calling out somebody's skincare routine. I don't care what level, celebrity or whatever. They're doing the best they can with the information they have to look the best, and I just did not feel comfortable picking on somebody for that. So I didn't do those. I did a couple, and then I didn't do any more, and it probably slowed the channel down, because that was one of those trendy things on YouTube. And I just made the choice. Not comfortable doing that. I don't want to do it. So I didn't do it.
Smart. Well, it's always good to do that. Like you end up favoring your long-term growth over short-term.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're making yourself happier too. But I've mentioned this a million times on this podcast. You should absolutely not do things you're not comfortable with. I think it can be worth a try, because you never really know, am I actually comfortable with this or not, until you actually try it.
That way,
Yeah, and then you put it out there, people start reacting to it, they engage with it. You kind of just see how it goes, and you felt how you felt, and then you made a decision based on how you felt. And I think it was wise to listen to your feelings that way, especially because with how your channel works, with having a tight knit community. Like you really don't want to betray that. If you end up sort of just trying to maximize growth and you have this great community, you're going to end up kind of dissolving that community ever so slowly, or perhaps quickly, because they'll notice that the guy who they thought they knew, they don't actually know him, because now here he is doing these things. He's kind of dancing the monkey dance, and just trying to make it big, not so much trying to be himself.
But revealed my age. When I finally, it's not like I revealed my age. It's just we had a point on the channel a year ago where I had to talk about how old I was in order for the video to make sense. So it was really sort of just an innocent conversation in the video, and people did not realize how old I was. So that was very not so much with my it was more so with people who didn't know me when they found the videos. I still get people go, no way. A lot of people look just as good as me, if not better, at this age, but there is this thing in society where people fall apart. at 50 and you're supposed to look, haggard and old. But if you take care of yourself and you've taken care of your skin, then you're not going to look that way. And so it's been a real interest. That was the closest I came to wondering, is this going to cost me a lot of subscribers? It did not, by the way. But I'm also don't get freaky when I put a video out and I see 20 or 30 people unsubscribe, because if they're not interested in my videos, I don't want them to stick around. I've learned that's marketing 101 from way back. You don't want to carry dead weight just for a vanity number.
Yep. Yeah. Because
you
YouTube actually notices that if your channel is very bloated, if not many of your subscribers are clicking your videos, that actually ends up hurting your videos.
Just made the choice. I lose a few. It's okay. I usually in my information, I will get back that while you may have lost 20 subscribers, you gained 150. So, it is really that. So I'm lucky that I have a business background and did, the online stuff in the early 2000s, and, learned some hard lessons from all of this. So I sort of was prepared as I came in. I didn't ever want to be freaked out by something, and a lot of people tie their fortune and their self-image to this stuff, especially on YouTube, because it is a form. It's like television. You get an audience that knows you, and to some degree there is a celebrity piece to that. And if that's your identity, and say something happens and you can't do that content anymore, or what if you're not growing as a person, you're just really locked into being a YouTuber. That's it. That's very limiting, and it's going to catch you at some point.
Yeah. And so how would you recommend people cultivate that mindset of not identifying too much with being a YouTuber? Because half the battle is mindset. And if you aren't careful, you could end up just kind of making videos in a dark room too much, or going outside and being obnoxious or something.
It's still exciting to say you're a TikToker. It's still exciting to say you're a YouTuber. But I think there is a point where you have to sit down and say, it's really about the creativity that I have in what I'm doing. That's where that focus should be. So if you can shift it back a step from the platform that's putting you out there to, I need to be the biggest TikToker, or I need to be the biggest YouTuber, to the information that I'm providing or the entertainment that I'm providing. It's almost like saying, if you're very entertaining on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, you're a comedian of sorts. So that's your creativity. So I always think you need to focus on your creativity, and not so much know that the platform is an important piece of that, but that may not be the way you do it always, a whole life long. I know people who think they're going to be on YouTube their whole life. Okay, they're also in their 20s. Like, a lot of stuff happens to you between 20 and 40. Maybe not, So it is it's like anything. It is an amazing platform. It's, once you can get your head around it, which that is not necessarily easy, but once you understand the beast, then it will perform for you. So, I tell people not to give. On the one hand, I'm saying, sound a little schizophrenic, you shouldn't give up on YouTube. It really is about being very consistent and sticking to it and learning what it's trying to tell you people want. But at the same token, understand that it's a platform. It's like if people went into doing a sitcom on regular TV thinking they were going to do that for the rest of their life. And we've seen examples of where people lived that. And then, of course, the sitcom comes to an end, or the movie comes to an end, and they're really at a loss of what to do with themselves. They get into trouble and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So I just think, I look at it as a platform. I love it. But it's a business at the end of the day, and they run it like a business, and they get you don't own it. So anything I don't own, I own my list. I can move that list anywhere I want because I've got that replicated. So I can communicate with them via email, via the blog, via YouTube. So I think, but that doesn't get talked about a lot. And you hear the stories where someone gets their channel to a certain level, and then, for whatever reason, they get burnt out, they quit, or they get some pushback from their visibility, and because they don't have that thick skin to say, and get your own channel. It's really I got to say. You don't let people's opinions of you shouldn't move you off any mark of any kind. But, there's that level of maturity, and I wish there was more out there to help people with that, because it can be very jarring.
Yeah, it really can.
So.
Like, this is something I dealt with. I had to take a step back from my channel. I haven't posted to it in almost a year now. Actually, no, that's a lie. 6 months. It's been about 6 months since I posted to it.
It's still exciting.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And keep in mind, I was posting to this channel twice a week for a long time. And also posting to another channel, and I had 3 channels going at once when I was putting the max amount of hours into this. And I absolutely identified with being a YouTuber, and that wasn't really my intention. It was just kind of, I became so obsessed with making this work. And then when it felt like I had to cover topics that I didn't necessarily want to cover all the time, that's when I started getting really, really burned out. And then plus the crazy hours, and it was interfering with my relationship. That relationship actually ended, and maybe it's I think good in the long run that happened. But if you're in your 30s or 40s and you're married and have kids, and you start getting famous, and then you're obsessing about this channel, you can really mess up your life.
Because
you
see it all the time. All the time.
Because you're always at work if you want to be. You work from home, especially if you're kind of always trying to talk to your community, or you're always trying to think of video ideas, or ooh, maybe if I added this edit to the video, there's always something you could be doing, and that can really eat into your relationships. And
then it will.
Yeah,
it can make you feel crazy,
horrible.
Yes, yeah. I struggle. I'm not going to lie. I struggle with self. What's the word? There's a word for that, and I can't think of it. Where that voice in the back of your head, with being my own boss, pushing me. If I'm not doing something, then I do have that same thing we all have, where you could really be doing a video right now. You should be doing a video right now. You should really,
right.
That in the back of the head. I've learned to tame that a great deal and to ignore it. If I want to not do a video, which is rare because I really enjoy doing them. And that's kind of the deal I made with myself. If this turns into be some sort of grind, I will do it. So I've gotten better at that, but I get it. A lot of people have that. I mean, we've had parents and teachers and bosses, so it's almost like it creates a version of you that's back there pushing you not to procrastinate, not to take time off, not to rest, and that's where we see all that burnout. YouTube burnout's a real thing for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's a real thing.
I got super burned out, and that voice was the main reason. And the hours I was working were a lot, but even when I wasn't working, the voice was talking to me. And I think what's counterintuitive about this is you would think that if, let's say, your number one goal is to build your YouTube channel, and for whatever reason that is your goal, that's totally okay if that's your main priority. But the thing about this voice, this kind of nagging voice that maybe is talking to you at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday or a Saturday when you're out with your friends or whatever, it can start to really wear you down and actually stifle your creativity, because you're never turning it off, which means you're never being refreshed. So ironically, by obsessing about this for all day, every day, you end up tiring yourself out, and you end up burning yourself out, even when you're not being that productive. I had days where the voice was always going, but I was having trouble focusing. And so what I kind of ultimately realized was I needed to focus on my interpersonal relationships and appreciate them and cultivate them. And just it's as easy as going out with your friends and having fun. It's as easy as going on a date with your girlfriend or your wife or whoever. It's as easy as just hanging out with your family, calling your mom, whatever. Just live your life, and you will feel so much more refreshed when you come back and get in front of the camera or sit down to write or what have you.
I don't think that gets talked about nearly enough. It's So it is one of those things that is, on the one hand, we sound schizophrenic because those of us who have persevered and made it to a certain level, and certainly I'm not the biggest YouTuber ever, but I'm in that top 1%, which is crazy. To 155,000 subscribers, you're way up there in the teeny tiny top of all YouTubers, and there is that pressure there. But at the same time, you're telling people you got to be consistent, you got to show up, you got to put content out, or nobody knows you're there. There's nothing for YouTube to put out for you, which is true. But then at the same time, we're saying don't let it eat you alive. Don't let it become everything where you feel guilty going to the store. You feel guilty if you don't feel well, if you have the flu or a toothache or something, you don't make a video that week. It's not the end of the world, but people feel like it is. Like all the work I've done now will fall apart. No, it won't. And in fact, if you do it right, you'll create videos, as you said, through that creative process that are evergreen, that will support your channel when you're not there. I have videos from 3 years ago that routinely the algorithm goes rediscovers and puts it out, and I get all these, and they see it as a brand new video, and I'm thinking they're asking me questions like, "Wow, this is really old. This is 3 years ago." So yeah, and then when you get big enough and you keep bringing in more and more people, the pressure gets a little easier because you can go back and repurpose or re-record or redo a video you did before. You can update that information, put it out as a brand new video, as long as the title's not the same, and you're reaching a wider audience. So you're not going to run out of stuff to talk about. And people always think I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about. So, quite often I look back in my archives of videos and I'm like, oh, you know what? I have not talked about that problem in a long time. And when I did, I had 10,000 subscribers. So I should probably do a new video on that. So if you can stick with it and build that catalog, it gets somewhat easier on the topic idea side, especially when you find your voice and you know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about, and your audience, you know who your audience is, which is where I'm at now. I know I can predict what a video is going to do in a range the minute I do it. I don't do hard-hitting videos 3 times a week. That's crazy. I do shorts now. These are micro-learning. People love that stuff. And then I have the bigger videos, and then I have videos that have themes that I know yank the chain on the tree, just jiggle everything and get huge views, but you can burn your audience out too. You know what I mean? So you don't want to you're not trying to hit it out of the park every single time. Yeah. So I have hit it out of the park videos. Then I have, let's re-educate again on this topic videos. I have short micro learning videos that people really love, those tips, which I can repurpose over on Instagram as a reel. I can repurpose over on TikTok. So I've had to learn to do all of that because I'm one human being. One person can't do it all. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great advice. And I'm glad you mentioned the thing about evergreen videos, especially, when you get too obsessed with getting big numbers, you end up following a lot of trends. And trends can be great. They can bring in new people because you're kind of piggybacking on all the things that a lot of people are clicking on. But what can end up happening if you focus too much on trends instead of kind of releasing a balance like you were doing and are doing, you end up destroying your backlog, essentially, because when you hit trends, usually trends don't last. Something that is getting a ton of views today probably isn't going to be getting many views in like a month. Occasionally there are things where that's not true, but for the most part, if you're always chasing those trends, like you're not going to be able to rely on your backlog. And then if you do stop releasing, your views are just going to plummet. Whereas if you have this kind of successful backlog, where you have these meaty videos that are good information, that are useful information, and that aren't hammy or whatever, then if you decide to take a break, then you can just kind of collect revenue for that amount of time instead of having to like constantly be on this treadmill. So this is kind of a huge long-term strategy
which
that
is
people
true.
should really be aware of.
If you have your community, you can put a video out from 3 years ago. It's still good, still relevant, and say, you guys are new. You missed this one. You can actually send a whole bunch of views to a video, and of course the algorithm goes, oh, what's that? And they're going to watch it all the way through. They're going to like and comment. So all your statistical information on that video, that happens to me a lot with videos. I learned the hard way. The first video I had take off and go what I would call viral. It did about 300,000 views in a couple of months. Really changed things on the channel for that 3 months. But when it stopped being promoted, then you've got everything goes in the toilet. So I don't particularly care for those. I have no control of when they're going to happen. But the strategy I'm using now that I just talked about, the different types of videos, has seemed to help with that. So when I get one that the algorithm is pushing really hard, I make sure and go in there and update the next video that they need to watch, so that, you know what I mean, so that there's a lot of continuity to keep them coming back. So there's some work you have to kind of pay attention to what's going on your channel, especially when you have a video getting a lot of eyeballs. You need to go back and look. Do all the links work still? Does the video I'm sending to them next or recommending next, both at the end and down in the video description, are those relevant now? Do I have better videos after this to send them to? So it's not like they're evergreen, but you still need to look at them, especially if they're over a year old, because a lot of times links that you use, if you're using them for places, they break or they're not good anymore, and that really frustrates people. So I've had to learn, when I have one of those take off, I go, well, I better go back and look at everything, make sure everything in there is where I want to send them next, because at one time it may have been different. So there's you gotta own, it's a business again. And I call it when the algorithm throws you a bone. That's what it does. Finds this video and just goes, oh, and then you're getting like, I have many where you see it's like this for a year and then, that's a long time not to have looked at that video and made sure that everything makes sense to where your channel's at now. So that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Like depending on that sort of growth or expecting it, like you don't want to see that growth as the new normal for you.
I'm one human being.
It's just not safe. It's not good. You'll drive yourself crazy. It's an impossible standard.
Yeah. You had a $60,000 month on AdSense. You've been making $200 a month. Oh, $60,000. And I'm going around and buy a car and all this stuff, and then the next month it's back down to like 2,000 or 200. It's that way for a while till you get enough videos. I mean, I think if you look at most large YouTube channels, and again, I'm one of those rare ones, which I have a high engagement, which is why I think it's that way. Well, that's why that's that way. Where they'll have just a bunch of subscribers, but they won't have a lot of views on their videos. So you want and they'll all have at least 1,000 videos done. So most big channels are at 1,000 videos because it just takes that much content to be able to compete with your peers. And I'm a person who really wanted quality, so for the longest time I did 2 videos a week. Now I do 3 a week, and now I do 2 to 3 shorts. So I'm doing 5 to 6 videos a week now. But shorts, I've got that down to. I have a way to do those. It's very easy and fun for me to record them and put them out. So it doesn't take a lot of time for the benefit that they give the channel and visibility. So you figure it out. You just have to keep playing with it to figure out what works for you. It's got to be a blend of what's going to work for you and work for YouTube. And it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so
we're
kind of nearing the end here. So I was wondering, you talked a lot about your community today. Communities are super important. I don't think a lot of people talk in depth about how to cultivate one. We've talked a lot, but could you give your biggest and best piece of advice for how to build a great community around a channel?
Viral. There's so many things you can do. The best thing to do,
or top 3,
probably. Yeah. All right. It really has to do with being thoughtful about how you structure your community. so that it's valuable to people, because you can send them there and they don't find any value. And then being very consistent in your communication there with them, and also being very consistent and yet light touch with getting people to leave YouTube to go to a community, because you don't want to take away from them watching videos. So I usually, that's like really right under the description. This is probably my biggest tip, and I found what worked the best is to have join my blog, the next thing down, so that I'm not having to push that in every video. I do every once in a while, a couple times a month, I'll talk about Instagram, or the thing will come across. I even have a Facebook page, so I will push those a little, but I just make sure that that's present all the time. And I have found that that gives me, the people that click on that and go and join that are really interested. Yes, you're an engaged person. Whereas when I go on the video and say, oh, join my blog, there are other resources there that I will get an influx, but they're not nearly as engaged. Because people will do that just simply because you're telling them to. Whereas if they're taking the time to watch a video, read the video description, and they see that and they go and select. So it's going to take time to build that community, but 100 good people, 1,000 good people, 10,000 good people are worth more than 100,000 subscribers on YouTube that do nothing.
Yeah, that is a fact.
That do nothing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you said, communities, the number may be smaller than like a massive subscriber number, but that's not what matters. It's all about engagement and how much people actually care about the community and the value it offers them. I think you want to be authentic with that and make sure that you genuinely care about the community. But also from a totally selfish standpoint, when you have a community like that, and let's say you have a sponsorship or an affiliate link or whatever, you're going to find that your community is more likely to actually purchase those things because they trust you, and they trust that whatever you are putting out there is actually worth their money. That's just a respect thing. It means they respect you, and it means you respect them.
No, it's not. When you have that.
Yes, they do.
If you can show them that you have something outside of YouTube where you're going to be able to push, I find that even on the podcast that I do with, I say, I'm going to put this out to my community, and in the community tab on YouTube, so you will get some viewership from that. So, it's, brands really like to see that because they know how it is with subscribers on YouTube. They know that. They know it's a very small percentage they're going to get in return. That's why a lot of people are so frustrated they don't get brand deals until they have like 500,000 subscribers, because the brands know. It takes that many people at a 2 to 3% engagement rate for us to get anything back worthwhile. So it's not a personal thing. It's just, plus it gives you security of owning your brand and your business outside of one single platform. But you should never, 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 never put all your eggs in one basket. I'm sorry. I've learned that 3 or 4 times throughout my life. Never do it that way.
As have I. And an important, beautiful, horrifying lesson that hopefully we can save people some time.
Yeah,
I think most people do. You're like, nah, this is working. I'm just going to focus on this one thing until all of a sudden something happens. The YouTube adpocalypse
Shorts,
happens.
I've got that. Yeah, something. It's not there anymore. Like what happened to all the people with the children's channels when they had to make some new rules? That hurt a lot of people.
The landscape can shift. So Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. Now that we're kind of at the end here, why don't you tell people where they can find you, your community, your Instagram, whatever it is you want to pitch. Tell the people where they can find you.
Different for everybody. Easy. Chris Gibson on YouTube. Just type it in. I'll come up. And then Chris Gibson Friends for Facebook and Instagram. And then Skin So Fabulous is the community. You don't even need a long URL. You can just type that in Google, and I'm the #1 thing that comes up. And then there's an Instagram for that, Skin So Fabulous as well. So I kind of try to keep it simple, but my name is really the brand. So YouTube's the best way to find me, because all of that information I just said is in the video description on every video. So if you scroll down, all that social media is there, even TikTok, all that stuff.
Beautiful. There you go, everybody. And with that, that's a wrap. I'll see you in the next one, sweet viewer, listener, however it is you're consuming this podcast. Bye, everybody.